So this is a new band that I've created called Successional Retrogression. These are my bandmates. We had a great meeting yesterday, taking advantage of Colin Byer here from SUNY ESF, and sort of halfway through the meeting, I just like this thought came to me, and so thank you, Colin, for helping me write my talk yesterday. This idea of successional retrogression is something I've been thinking about for some time. In fact, I published a paper in grad school looking at some of the hypotheses from Kimmons and other ecologists of how management, land use, increasingly things like climate change, can drive the successional condition of forests kind of backward in a way, back to a more pioneer stage or state. And so we continue to be interested in doing work around how management affects successional retrogression and how it affects these pathways. So a lot of what I'm talking about really dovetails very nicely with Bill Keaton's talk. And I think this is also, as Alicia said, this is a great example of the kind of work that happens at the GUND by getting people to work together across different projects, across different disciplines. So I just sort of created this team this morning. This is no formal project with this team, but these folks are all doing work that results in this different layers of work around forest succession, forest dynamics, spatial change, and ultimately policy. So we have one project that's really looking at stand-level disturbance and recovery processes, working with Kimberly Wallen and Sarah Pierce. This is really field level data, trying to understand the impact, in particular, of salvage log cuts after wind events in Vermont. So your classic kind of field science work connected to another project that I'm working with Eduardo Rodriguez, a PhD student of mine at the GUND Institute, trying to then take some of that field data and do temporal modeling of successional trade-offs. So when the landowner is faced with this salvage decision, right, how intensive should that salvage be? Should it even happen? What are the trade-offs of different forest pathways of recovery from those salvage operations? Colin's work fits right in very nicely. Colin's working with a grad student at ESF, Jesse. And Colin and Jesse's sort of long-term data synthesis is really helping us then ask another layer of the onion, which is these longer-term forest growth regulation processes, and how these management decisions and these recovery dynamics and these successional pathways can be affected and influence ecosystem services more broadly. This connects us out to a lot of people at the GUND Institute, including Taylor's work and Carey's work, connecting to a larger still framework of spatial modeling, and the work I'll be doing with Eduardo around this as well, is now understanding how you take plot level data, successional modeling, marrying that to some of these long-term relationships that Colin is teasing out in his work, and then trying to understand these broader landscape trade-offs. Of course, ecosystem services are more than just services that come from forests. Forests have multiple services, but then there's trade-offs between land use, whether it's forest, whether it's ag, whether it's developed land. And so hooking to Carey's work and Taylor's work to really understand that bigger picture still across the whole Vermont landscape. So Carey recently has been coming to meetings where we're discussing how you can link this field level hypotheses to successional modeling and back out to the larger questions of trade-offs. And then finally, we just recruited a new student, Mary Jane Fox, to the team, who's then going to be marrying all of this work to a forest policy simulation, really understanding how forest policy married to a macroeconomic model will change forest land use, forest cover, and ultimately we'd like to get to those more fine, detailed forest management questions and marry that to the genuine progress indicator. And so that's what Mary Jane's work is going to be. So multi-tiered project, multidisciplinary, all happening because of the great work of the GUND Institute.